Joseph Walker's face hit the grating. A clawed foot pressed his neck to the deck.
Leave him for the airlock. No body, no noise.
The reactor. 12 hours since last scram. If they don't touch it, but they will.
The inner hatch sealed with a hiss. The outer door peeled back to the black. Walker threw himself at the emergency override. Slamming the manual hatch control, he crawled into the escape pod, bleeding into the control panel. The pod punched free as the airlock spat him into the dark. A faint distress beacon blinked to life. A whisper against the stars. Mars Heavy 14 was already under tow, its hull disappearing toward Krellin space. Inside the pod, Joseph Walker lost consciousness. His ship was gone. His reactor was unwatched. Walker's eyelids fought gravity. The pod's life support light was flashing amber through the porthole. The Mars Heavy 14 was already a toy against the stars, caught in alien beams.
18 hours since the last manual scram. The core would be entering pre-runaway. Without the manual override, the reaction would compound. Heat, pressure, then vaporization. Mayday. Mars Heavy 14. Reactor in pre-runaway. Manual scram overdue. Anyone?
Only Static replied. The pod's transmitter was too weak, its power draining with every heartbeat. His fingers left bloody smears on the controls as he slumped back. Outside, the Krellin ships tugged the stolen vessel onward, blind to the murder ticking in its belly.
They don't know. They're dragging a sun to their doorstep.
The pod's interior dimmed as Walker's eyes closed again, the beacon his only witness. Krell Prime's shipyard glowed neon against the moon's night. A jungle of cranes and stolen ships. The Mars Heavy 14 slid into its assigned cradle, already surrounded by Krellin salvage crews.
Strip it clean, every bolt, every wire. This is the fat haul of the cycle.
Strange. The human ship's heart seems alive.
I don't pay you to admire human junk. Get to the good parts.
Workers began peeling away hull plates, ignoring the warmth radiating from the core.
This section is humming, and those lights, they blink like a Krellin festive banner.
Then, rip it out and sell the glass. It's all profit.
The reactor's glow intensified, unnoticed as the countdown continued in silence. Inside the yard, the tug sat quiet, its core chewing through the final hours of stability. Half a system away, the pod's air grew thin. Walker's breath fogged the glass.
The manual's first page burned in his memory. Warning, no automated scram. Manual shutdown only. Cost of certifying a safety governor. The manual didn't say. It didn't have to. They'd priced it out of existence.
On Krell Prime, a maintenance hatch finally surrendered to a plasma cutter.
Look at this. The humans painted their reactor with blinking art. What do you call this figure? A melting face? The pattern speeds up. See? Almost like it's counting down.
The icon was a human hazard symbol, a face dissolving. But to Krellins, it was just another curio.
Such strange creatures. They make even their engines tell stories.
Deep within the tug, the reactor's hum climbed into a growl, and in the pod, Joseph Walker watched his oxygen gauge drop, counting the only clock that mattered. A passing freighter caught the pod's beacon. A single desperate ping in the black. Its grappler arm closed around the pod, drawing it into a scarred cargo hold.
Alive. Somehow still alive.
He woke to the hum of medical monitors and the bite of recycled air.
Mars Heavy 14. Stolen by Krellins. Its reactor. No one's been there to shut it down. It'll cascade within a day.
The captain, a weathered woman with no appetite for adventure, shook her head. She wouldn't divert. The route was fixed. The fees for a delay too high.
Then Earth stays blind. And Krell Prime gets a sunrise they didn't order.
He found the freighter's comm panel and sent a second mayday. Aimed at Earth, the signal raced into the void. Whether it would arrive in time, no one aboard could answer. The reactor's hum became a physical weight, shaking the deck plates of the shipyard. Zoltek pressed a scanner to the hull and watched the temperature curve go vertical.
Vex, the core is climbing. It's not supposed to do this. It's going to breach.
Breach. It's a human toy. They build with glue and hope. Double the crews and pull the valuable relays now.
Workers in heat protection suits re-entered the tug, tools shaking in their claws. One of them pulled back a panel and screamed as a jet of superheated plasma singed his arm.
If you can't handle the heat, you can explain it to the Brotherhood's enforcers. Now work.
He'll kill us all before he admits a human machine can bite.
The salvage teams redoubled their efforts, stripping away non-essential systems as the tug's hull began to radiate visible light. The Mars Heavy 14 now shone like a small star, its belly full of fire. And still, the Krellans didn't run. The freighter's second signal finally pierced Earth's traffic net, hours late, decoded in a quiet office. A junior officer saw the words, "Krellan theft, reactor, pre-runaway. No, Governor." She escalated immediately. Diane Sato stepped into the briefing room, the report glowing on the main screen.
Hephaestus yards. Civilian prototype. No automatic scram. Is that confirmed?
The reactor schematic glowed. A footnote in the file read, "Fail-safe Oproad's cost analysis. Expunged for budget."
If we warn them, we save the Krellan Brotherhood from their own theft. And they pay us nothing.
An aide pointed out that the tug would cascade within the hour if the Krellans didn't find the manual scram.
We don't warn them. We monitor. And we prepare a statement for when it's over.
The order was quiet. No interference. Earth kept its silence as the countdown closed.
Let's watch. I want to see what happens when a pirate yard meets an unlicensed reactor.
The manuals cascade scenarios. They were textbook fiction until now.
Cascade failure. Uncontrolled reaction leading to matter vaporization within 0.2 seconds of threshold. No recovery possible. On Krell Prime. Zoltek scanned the warning lights, his scanner recording the exact intervals.
The interval is halving. It's not a pattern. It's a countdown.
If they haven't found the scram lever, Krell Prime is already a graveyard.
This thing is going to eat us. We have to evacuate the whole yard.
Maybe someone on Earth heard it. Maybe Diane Sato found the file.
Inside the Mars Heavy 14, the reactor core's internal pressure crossed the final threshold. Zoltek burst into Vex Care's command center, nearly tripping over his own tail.
Vex, the lights were a countdown from the start. We have minutes, maybe seconds.
Countdown. From a human's paint job, you've lost your scales.
A deep vibration rolled through the deck, knocking a data tablet from Vex's claw.
Fine. Find the shutdown control. Tear that tub apart.
The crews abandoned their plasma cutters and began ripping into every compartment, fingers bleeding. Somewhere, inside the tug, a dusty lever hid behind a graffiti-scratched panel, its Earth label unreadable to Krellin eyes. The Mars Heavy 14's hull began to crack, spewing brilliant white light through every seam.
It's past shutdown. The reaction is feeding itself. Heat is rising exponentially.
Workers fled from the tug, several stumbling, their heat suits smoldering.
Don't run. There must be a switch. Find it or I'll flay you all.
The scram lever sat untouched, its label faded, as the reactor's growl climbed into a shriek.
The Krellan Brotherhood has raided our shipping for a decade. Now their greed is about to bite them back. We do nothing. We watch. And when it's over, we send them a bill they can't refuse.
The order was logged. Earth would not interfere. On the screen, the reactor's status bar went red. At Krell Prime, the Mars Heavy 14 erupted. Not with a boom, but a blinding silent light.
No. My cargo. My yard.
The tug's hull dissolved into a vapor. Then the cradle. Then the cradle. Then the nearest Krellin frigate.
It's a matter vaporization cascade. Flee, you fools.
Workers, too slow, disintegrated. In the expanding halo, their forms turning to atoms without a scream.
Payback. Not a single shot fired.
The vaporization crept outward, swallowing cranes and stocked warehouses. At the speed of light, Zoltek, too close to the center, was claimed in an instant, his form dissolving to atoms mid-sprint.
No, Zol, you fool. He was the only one who understood those cursed lights.
Then the core did something none had predicted. The cascade spat out a second, invisible pulse, a tunable electromagnetic wave. An artifact of the failed shutdown, swept out at light speed.
The fleet, look at the fleet. Their reactors, their comms, dead.
Every Krellan ship within 200,000 kilometers went silent. Engines died, weapons locked, navigational lights dark. The yard itself was an expanding sun of vaporized metal. The pulse left nothing but a graveyard of helpless hulls. Life support still hummed on Krellan decks, but propulsion and communications were permanently fried. On Earth, sensor arrays registered the pulse, a signature unlike any weapon, and yet devastatingly effective.
What have we stolen? This is no tug. It's a bomb wrapped in silence.
A proximity alert wailed on the freighter's bridge as distant sensors spiked, a flash of energy beyond any reactor test.
That was the cascade. Krell Prime just swallowed a sun I warned them about.
He cross-referenced the coordinates. The pulse had originated exactly where the Mars Heavy 14 should have been.
My ship is gone. They never found the off switch. Captain, that flash was my reactor. The Krellans didn't stop the runaway. The whole yard must be dust.
The captain went pale. She said nothing, just keyed a ship-wide channel. Her order cut through the static. Change course. Mars, no logs. We were never here.
Mars. They listened when Earth didn't. Maybe they'll believe me.
He sank into the co-pilot's seat, the phantom shriek of the reactor still ringing in his skull. The freighter hummed toward the red dot of Mars, leaving a vanished yard and a crippled fleet in its wake. The Krell Prime flash made every news terminal in the solar system blink red. Headlines screamed catastrophe. Earth's public statement was a masterwork of sympathy, crafted to hide the cold calculation underneath.
An unprovoked theft led to a tragic reactor failure. Our hearts go out to the Krellan people.
But in the deep-level briefing room, the masks were off. Diane Sato faced Earth's military council.
They lost their main yard and half their fleet. The Brotherhood is crippled and terrified. We have a bargaining chip no one expected. We demand restitution for the theft and destruction of a civilian vessel. We say nothing about the reactor being uncertified.
The plan was ruthless, and no one in the room raised an objection. Legal teams were already drafting a demand note that would bleed the thieves for every credit.
Civilian negligence became a superweapon. The Brotherhood stole cheap parts and got a warhead.
The transmission to Vex Care was encoded with Earth's formal seal. It promised silence in exchange for payment. The freighter settled onto a Mars landing pad, its hull scarred but intact. Walker walked down the ramp into the thin, rusty air. He was met by a pair of sharp-dressed officials who led him to a sterile debriefing chamber. They asked about the reactor, the theft, the last scram. Walker pulled the battered manual from his bag.
There's everything you need. The manual, my logs. Every shift, I scrammed it. Until they put a boot on my neck.
The senior official slid a document across the table. The words restitution claim were bold at the top. His silence about the uncertified reactor, they explained, would guarantee a generous settlement.
Profit from the flaw that erased my ship. The manual says it was expunged for budget. Now that budget buys my future. They're paying me to bury what could expose them. Justice for a ship, or justice for the dead.
The pen he used was cold, his signature small and tight, and then he closed the manual and pushed it aside.
Mars Heavy 14 is gone, but maybe I can build something from its ashes.
Diane Sato's shuttle touched down on the scarred Krellan station, its hull still smelling of smoke. She walked into the neutral conference chamber, her heels clicking on the cold deck. Vex Carr stood at the far end, his 4 eyes blazing.
Vex Carr, I am here to discuss compensation for the destruction of the Mars Heavy 14.
Theft. Your ship was a bomb wrapped in silence. You knew. I lost my yard, my fleet.
Theft is theft. The reactor failure was a direct result of your crew's tampering. Earth demands full restitution.
She slid a holographic tablet across the table. The settlement figure was astronomical.
This will bankrupt us. You humans are parasites.
Sign here, and we'll keep silent about the Brotherhood's incompetence. Refuse, and the galaxy learns you were crippled by a civilian tug.
A terrible stillness fell. Vex's claw trembled over the signature field. Then the signature flashed green. The Krellin Brotherhood had just paid for its greed. A week later, Walker's terminal blinked with a deposit larger than any salary he'd ever earned. Restitution with interest.
Blood money. But it can build something new.
A Hephaestus Yards executive visited the next morning, carrying a physical check and a smile. The executive said, "Your ship did more for Earth than any battleship. Congratulations, Mr. Walker." Walker looked at the check. Then, at the empty space beside his desk where a model of his old tug used to sit.
Mars Heavy 14 died so I could build its sister. That's a debt I intend to pay.
By month's end, Walker stood on a flat stretch of Martian soil, a survey drone whirring overhead.
Small yard, smart builds. No corner cutting on safeties. This time, the manual gets read.
The foundation stakes drove into the rust-colored dirt. Walker's yard was no longer a dream, and somewhere in an Earth ledger, the words Hephaestus Yards, Defense Contract were quietly stamped with a classified seal. In a prefab office at the construction site, a news report flickered on the wall screen. Krellin Brotherhood seeks trade deal. A pundit's voice crackled. Some analysts wonder if the Krell Prime incident was luck or an accidental superweapon.
They'll never know it was just a budget cut. A missing governor that cost the galaxy a fleet.
He turned from the screen to the view outside. His yard, where the skeleton of a new tug was rising. Workers in exosuits welded the hull plates. A fresh Mars Heavy stencil waiting on the ground.
This one will have the scram lever right on the bridge with a plaque. Lesson learned.
He picked up the manual, now dog-eared and still smelling of smoke, and tucked it into his tool belt. Far away, a disabled Krellin warship was being scrapped for parts. Its hull, once proud, now a monument to greed. Earth's media called it the Krell Prime Cascade, a cautionary tale. But the true lesson remained unspoken. Under the Martian sun, the first complete hull of Walker's yard gleamed, ready for its name, on a bright Martian morning. A small crowd gathered beneath the completed hull of the Mars Heavy 15. Joseph Walker walked to the nose of the tug and tied a ceremonial ribbon across its forward hitch. He cut it with a plasma torch, and the hangar doors rolled open to reveal the vessel in full light. Workers and guests applauded as the Mars Heavy 15 powered up its reactor for the first time. A soft, stable hum. On the bridge, a newly installed manual scram lever sat directly beside the helm, a brass plaque reading, "Lesson learned." Walker climbed onto a small platform to address his crew.
We named her Mars Heavy 15 to remember the one we lost. That loss taught us, never assume the next crew will just know. Every shutdown, every check is non-negotiable. She's fast, she's tough, and she's got the best safety record because we built it into every bolt.
Among the small crowd, a Hephaestus representative caught Walker's eye and gave a single nod. No words were needed. The tug's engines bloomed with warm light as Walker turned to face its open cargo bay, ready for a new generation of honest work. Months later, a Krellin envoy bowed before Diane Sato in Earth's diplomatic office, pleading for eased trade sanctions.
The Brotherhood stole an Earth vessel, and your carelessness destroyed your own yard. Earth's leniency ended that day.
The envoy's 3 eyes dimmed. Without another word, he retreated, the weight of his people's ruin on his shoulders. Half a system away, Joseph Walker watched the news report from his control tower.
First, they lost a fleet. Now their pride. The universe is teaching them a lesson we never got to finish.
He set down his mug and turned toward the large window overlooking his yard. Below, the Mars Heavy 15 loaded its first cargo, its reactor humming a gentle, reliable note.
A dozen orders in queue. Safety record perfect. They said civilian negligence was a weakness. I made it a headline.
The control room ticked with calm data. Every ship in his fleet displayed a green scram status. The Krellin Brotherhood was now a footnote, their fleet scrap and their reputation dust. Earth's new defense contract remained classified, its origins a quiet joke among engineers. At sunset, Joseph Walker stood on his office balcony, the Mars Heavy 15 glowing softly on the pad below. A young worker, fresh coveralls still creased, stepped out and asked, "Any advice for the new guy?" Walker looked at the tug, then back at the kid. His mouth curved into a crooked smile.
If you ever steal from a human, make sure you know how to turn off the engine.
The kid laughed, scratching his head. He didn't get the full weight of it, but that was fine. Walker just shrugged and turned back to the rails. Some jokes were too heavy to explain. Below, the Mars Heavy 15 sat steady, its reactor light a peaceful hum against the twilight. That reactor could have erased a fleet. Tonight, it was just a warm light in the Martian dusk. The galaxy had learned a lesson about Earth's engineering. Not all our weapons were built for war. Some were just cost-cutting measures, left for the wrong hands to find. The Martian night settled over Walker's yard, quiet except for the hum of the reactor. He stood on the balcony a while longer, watching the distant stars where Krell Prime had once burned. Inside the Mars Heavy 15, the manual scram lever sat under its brass plaque, a silent monument to a lesson bought in fire. The reactor that had erased a fleet now powered a milk run to Deimos and back. Walker sipped his coffee. The mug read Mars Heavy, a souvenir from a ship that didn't exist anymore. He never spoke about the cascade, not the details, but the worn manual still sat in his office, dog-eared and sacred, because Earth's greatest weapons weren't always built for war. Sometimes they were just corners cut, waiting for the wrong thief. And somewhere in the Krellin ruins, a salvage crew might find a scrap of hull with the words "Property of Mars Heavy" still legible. But tonight, the yard was quiet. The reactor glowed, and the galaxy turned on, unaware of the knife it had swallowed. A lesson written in budget margins, engraved in brass, and remembered only by the man who built the sister ship. The stars over Mars held no answers, only the steady pulse of the tug's reactor, a second heartbeat in the night. He turned from the rail and stepped inside, the glass door sliding shut on the cold. The control room's monitors still showed green scram status across the board. All quiet. The brass plaque in the Mars Heavy 15 caught the starlight through the porthole. The words "Lesson Learned" glowing faintly. The old manual lay open to a page circled in red. Manual scram every shift. Outside, the Mars Heavy 15 waited for its morning run. Its reactor light, a small sun tamed. Walker paused by the manual, running a thumb over the worn cover. Somewhere in the wreckage of Krell Prime, a single panel of yellow and black hull still bore its maker's mark. But here, on Mars, the yard was quiet, the lesson kept, and the sister ship ready for the dawn. A faint smile crossed Walker's face as he turned out the light. The galaxy had learned its lesson, and he had built the proof.